As I heard Larry say, I think that's one of the biggest grand entries we've ever had. Once again, a big walalio to our drummers, the Spirit Wolf Singers. And once we've given you the time to catch your breath, we look towards you to play the flag song. I would now look towards the Spirit Wolf Singers for our veteran song.
Soldier boy,
Well, Spirit Wolf Singers. And in honor of the water walk that took place this week, we have especially with us the Akwesasne Men's Singers. And I believe Steve King will introduce the song of the water drum. If we could have the microphone open, please.
Sego Zego Guego, we are Akwesasne Ladilana Hawi. And in acknowledgement of the water walk, we're here to share a few of our songs we call Janada Wizaneha, the women's dance. Now, women's dance is what we use because it's one of our oldest songs due to it ties into creation when the whole world was water and the first being here was Sky Woman. So those few songs that we're going to share is Janada Wizaneha. Daneto.
Walalio to the Akwesasne Men Singers, to our host drum, the Spirit Wolf Singers. I would now turn it over to our knowledge keeper, Claudette Commanda from Kitigan-Zibi, Anishinaabe First Nation, to provide us with opening prayer. Claudette.
Bonjour tout le monde. Good morning, everyone. Menogishigun. Is it not a beautiful day? Is it une belle journée? Miigwej ni wichkiwe dog miigwej kibija yego ma nongum. Jaji koma Anishinaabe ki omamuwen ni wag. Kani michkishigun kinu nedish na kas Kitigan-Zibi don jaban. Kichimiigwej jonje chimino nogomowin. I thank the singers for the beautiful songs that you sang. That first prayer that was said here this morning was those songs. I acknowledge the elders, Mishom Sug, Ashish Kokomisug. I acknowledge the chiefs, Ogima Hikwewag, Ogima Inininiwag. But also with love and kindness and gratitude, we acknowledge this young man, this child who is here, our children, and that is so beautiful. I also acknowledge my sister, Chiogima Kwe, our national chief. I acknowledge our veterans. I acknowledge everyone who is here. Kakina. We are in this beautiful circle, I stand here with my son and all my relatives from Kitigan-Zibi, as well as the Algonquin relatives from the other Algonquin communities. It is such a beautiful sight to stand here amongst you, my relatives. The Creator's blessed us in bringing all our nations together here today. And isn't this beautiful? Nation to nation to nation to nation. And we are so gifted. Let us put our heart, our minds, our spirit, and our voice together as one to acknowledge and to honor the great mystery, the one that has put us here, the one who has gifted us with life and that always brings blessings of love to us each and every day. Chimiigwej gishimanado kichimiigwej kinakego. Miigwej gishimanado. Kichimiigwej jojoaki. Miigwej kokomistepekizis mishomiskizis. Chimiigwej. Miigwej ni jenwen daganag chimiigwej. Gishimanado kichimiigwej onje. Nibi. Ishkude nodin ashish aki. Nibuksendam Gishimanado Onje Nongom Assembly of First Nations Annual Assembly Nongom Ashishwa Bang Nibuksendam Chimino Tagaziwin Nibakawin Ashish Bimadzwin Ashish Zagi Edwin Onje Kakina Chimigwech. Migwech Onje Ude Ashish Zagi Edwin. Creator, we come together with that one heart and that one mind and that one spirit and that one voice. As we look upon you, Creator, and we thank you for the beauty of life and thanking us for living the way that you intended us to be as the first peoples of this land. And we thank you together as one people, Creator. We thank you for all our ancestors who are in that spirit world, for all our relatives who continue to pray for us. We thank you for our children. We thank you for our elders. We thank you for our singers and our dancers. And Creator, we thank you for all of life. As we acknowledge our ancestors, we acknowledge one another as brothers and sisters. And I thank you, Creator, for bringing us together. As we acknowledge our ancestors and all those loved ones in the spirit world, we thank you for the dreams that you bless us with. We thank you for the gifts that you give us each and every day, from that water life, the wind, the fire, and our land, Mother Earth, as we acknowledge our grandfather, the sun, and our grandmother, the moon, and all those spirits, Manido, and all those ancient spirits, Atsokan. We thank you for the medicine that is here, as we give honor and thanks for the beautiful voices of song, that first prayer that was said this morning, those songs that were shared. To remind us that we must always follow the original instructions that you've given all of our peoples, regardless of the nations we come from, and also in Anishinaabe Muin, our languages. We thank you, Creator, for giving us the strength, Mashkawiziwin, so we come together and say good words, Chiminotagaziwin, to come together to show that we love one another, Zagayedwin, to show one another that we wish upon each other that good life, Minopomadzuin. And Creator, we thank you for the love that is here, as we honor and give thanks to those ancestors who guided us into this grand entry, those beautiful eagle staffs. Creator, we offer our prayers to you as we honor you, we pray for you, as we pray for our loved ones in the spirit world. Creator, we ask you to bless this meeting today and tomorrow, and all the leaders who are here. Bless them with strength. Bless them with wisdom. Bless them with guidance. And together as one people of this land, Turtle Island, one people, Creator, that you've created us under your heart, your love. Creator, we acknowledge and we pray for all our communities from coast to coast to coast, all our communities, all our relatives. And we know, Creator, at this time there are some of our communities who are having hardships. Please, Creator, take our love and send it to our relatives. As we acknowledge and honor our loved ones in the spirit world, we also take this time to acknowledge, and we ask you, Creator, to please take our love to all those children who did not make it home. We remember them and we love them, and you know them each by name. And please, Creator, on our behalf, tell them we will never forget them. As we acknowledge and honor our lands since time immemorial, we thank you, Creator, to ensure that all our lands will be here forevermore. Kichimigwe jonje gijimenado kichimigwe jonje kizage edwin kichimigwe jonje mashkawi wizin nibak kawin chimenotagisiwin chimigwe jonje kiniwin emi awin ashish niniwin emi awin migwej. Together as one, my brothers and sisters, relatives, together as one, let us always be who the Creator intended us to be, and that is with the first peoples of this land. And that we walk this road together, Mama Wepomose, in that good way, with love and kindness for our children, today and tomorrow. Kichimigwej, Niwishkiwedog, Gizagian, thank you. I love you all. Miigwej. Miigwej.
Lalan Claudette, I would now ask for our support staff to come to the stage and assist as we post the flags. And now, to continue with our opening protocol, I would look towards our host chief, Greg Sarrazin, from Algonquins of Pikwakanagan, to come address the Assembly.
Kwekwe, Pajashin, good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Greg Sarrazin. I am the Chief of the Algonquins of Pikwakanagan First Nation. It is my very great honor and my privilege to welcome all of you to this 2026 Annual General Assembly of the Assembly of First Nations, being held right here in the heart of the traditional, unceded, and unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Nation. When European cultures first came up the mighty Kitchissippi into our Algonquin homelands in the early 1600s, the Algonquin Nation was here, occupying and defending our homelands, where we have been since time immemorial. We are still here today in 2026, and we will continue to be here for the next 7 generations and beyond. Where we are today, at this location, where the rivers converge, where the mighty Kitchissippi, flowing west to east, is joined from the north by the Gatineau River and from the south by the Rideau River, is the traditional meeting place of the Algonquin Nation. Throughout millennia, we have welcomed many nations here to conduct trade and to make alliances. Today, we welcome all of you here to undertake the important work that we all share and which is of the utmost importance to all our nations across Turtle Island. We honor our elders, past and present, our knowledge keepers, our youth, and leadership who continue to uphold the sacred responsibilities entrusted to them by the Creator. I acknowledge our National Chief, Cindy Woodhouse Nepinak, Ontario Regional Chief, Abram Benedict, all of our regional chiefs, our chiefs, councillors, elders, veterans, youth delegates, our partners, our honored guests, and all those joining us today. To all of you, I say welcome. I also wish to acknowledge our knowledge keeper, Claudette Commanda, and give our thanks for opening us in a good way. I also acknowledge the chiefs and councillors of all of the Algonquin First Nations in attendance today. Almost all of the chiefs of the Algonquin Nation are present, and that is good to see. Our nations come from every corner of Turtle Island. We speak many different languages. We may carry unique histories, cultures, and traditions, yet we are united by our responsibilities to our people, our ancestors, our lands, and the generations who will follow. Gatherings such as this have always been part of who we are as First Nations people. Long before there was a Canada, our ancestors gathered in council. They shared knowledge, resolved differences, strengthened alliances, celebrated accomplishments, and made the decisions that would ensure the well-being of future generations. That history continues to guide us today. As leaders, we know that the work before us is not always easy. This Assembly comes at an important moment. Across this country, First Nations are strengthening our governments, rebuilding our institutions, protecting our lands and waters, creating economic opportunities, and restoring our languages and cultures. We are proud of that work. We are proud of the leaders that came before us, and we are confident about what we can build. This Assembly gives us an opportunity to take another step forward. The discussions before us are important, We will speak about clean water, Crown relations, health, housing, and child welfare. We will also discuss the path toward a First Minister's meeting. These are important issues. The conversation about Canada's major projects gives First Nations an opportunity to help shape how projects are planned, reviewed, and implemented. Our nations bring knowledge of the land, we bring experience, we bring our laws, our governance systems, and stewardship responsibilities, and an understanding of what responsible decision-making requires. This week is not just about responding to the plans of others, it is about helping set the direction. Our First Nations continue to face challenges in housing, healthcare, education, infrastructure, economic development, environmental protection, language revitalization, and the ongoing implementation of our inherent and treaty rights. We continue to advocate for clean drinking water, for equitable services, for safer communities, and for the recognition of our jurisdiction and self-determination. But while we acknowledge those challenges, we also celebrate our strengths and our successes. Across this country, First Nations are leading innovation in governance, economic development, education, conservation, healthcare, and cultural revitalization. Our language are increasingly being spoken by our young people. Our ceremonies continue to grow stronger. Our artists, entrepreneurs, educators, and knowledge keepers are inspiring future generations with pride and purpose. As First Nations, we understand that every decision we must make, we must consider those who will come after us. The future of our nations depends on the choices we make together. It depends on investing in our youth, honoring our elders, protecting our lands and waters, and ensuring that future generations inherit communities that are healthy, prosperous, and grounded in our cultures and languages. As we begin this assembly, let us do so with open hearts and open minds. Let us listen as carefully as we speak. Let us celebrate our successes while confronting our challenges with determination and unity. May this gathering strengthen our relationships, inspire meaningful action, and remind us that although we come from many nations, we share a common purpose: to protect our peoples, uphold our rights, honor our responsibilities, and leave a stronger future for the generations yet to come. So once again, welcome all to the unceded, unsurrendered traditional territory of the Algonquin Nation. May the Creator guide our discussions, bless our decisions, and keep each of you safe throughout this assembly. Miigwech, and thank you.
So thank you to our host, Chief Greg Sarrazin. We will now continue on with our opening protocol, and I would look towards our Regional Chief of the Ontario Region, Abram Benedict, to come open us.
Sego, Ani, bonjour. What's going on, Walados? I don't know how many of you have watched some of those video clips on AI, or not on AI, on a platform, and you scroll through them. There was a quick video that talked about when you do a public speech and not to say, I hope everybody is well this morning, because the AI is now telling us how to innovate and get people engaged. And so I've been thinking a lot consciously about that, because one of the most opening lines I use, I hope everybody's well this morning. And it's like, oh, that's kind of standard now. So it's such a great day. Such a great day. As our elder opened this up this morning, I want to acknowledge the prayer this morning, the drum, our water drum, the ceremony that took place yesterday about the water and how important that is, and how we come together for the next 3 days to talk about issues that continue to impact our nations, to talk about the opportunities. I want to thank Chief Sarrazin for the words this morning, welcoming us to his territory, and the work that his nation is doing in ensuring that the settlers in this area continue to know whose territory this is. I want to say welcome to all of our chiefs. Hope everybody's traveled well, supposed to be a hot one today, so it's great to be inside. I think we'll be appreciating air conditioning this morning. As some of our chiefs came together, they said, oh my goodness, should have took an Uber over instead of walking, and that was at 7 o'clock this morning. So I know sometimes this room gets really warm in here, so we'll hopefully keep the air conditioning working well. I want to acknowledge our national chief and our executive and the work that they have been doing and we have been doing as the Assembly of First Nations to continue to support and advance our priorities, our mandates as set out. There's been a lot of things that have changed over the last little while. I mean, we were only here in December, and then we're hosting in our region, and the December one defaults to Ottawa here. And then the July one goes through a process, and so I'm excited to welcome all of you again to our region. And I know that many of you have come forward, have brought forward resolutions, and we look forward to that. And I see people at the mic already. My goodness, is that a great morning? We're going to be starting off and advancing some really good conversations, and that's great. And I'll leave it to the chairs to call on you for that after. But as we look at today's agenda and the next 3 days, there's some important things. The Carney government was elected in March of 2025 and then secured what they call a majority government in December of, just in this year of May of 2026. And we've seen a shift. Well, this government continues to be a Liberal government. They do things differently and they move quickly. You have the Building Canada's Home Act, which is going to impact all of our nations in so many ways. Last time we were here, we talked about, the Bill 5, and in our region we have Bill 5 and nationally C5 and what those implications are, but also at the same time talking about those opportunities. Chief earlier talked about the water legislation. Chief Sarzan talked about how important that is, and we're going to continue to advance that. But ensuring that legislation meets our needs. Source water protection is big. It's pretty sad that when we're the only ones thinking about how do we ensure that the source water is protected. We had our ceremony yesterday, our water drum this morning, acknowledging how important that is to who we are as a Snabek Haudenosaunee, Ungwehome people, the First Peoples. And so that legislation is important to our nations. Sadly, my region of Ontario has the most boiled water advisories. We still have many communities who are dealing with not having safe drinking water, amongst many of the other issues. I do want to acknowledge today, too, that a number of our communities are facing forest fires. This sadly continues to be a continued conversation we're having here. In fact, one of our communities in our region was completely lost to fire yesterday. We have another community being evacuated. These are the realities, the sad realities of climate change and the impacts that's having. The forest fires are much more earlier, more intense, having greater impacts to our communities who already are dealing with so many difficulties: clean drinking water, addictions, housing shortages, and now we have to worry about climate change. But amongst all of that, we have unity. We have so much unity happening in our communities, in our regions, advancing our shared priorities to ensure we're standing side by side to protect the inherent rights, the jurisdiction that each and every one of your communities have. As we plan for the First Ministers meeting with First Nations, our region, my region, has been very clear. My chiefs have been very clear to me. We want to advance that relationship conversation. We want to ensure that our conversation is rooted in what the Constitution says around Section 35. But those conversations that occurred 40 years ago are not over. In fact, the landscape has changed so much and so quickly. And so the work that the executive is doing is in advancing that with our regions and ensuring that we're preparing, laying the framework to have a successful First Ministers meeting with takeaways and concrete actions. I want to acknowledge the National Chief and the work that she has done to secure that meeting, pushing hard on the PCO, Prime Minister's Office. This is important to each and every one of us in here. But that relationship, that fiduciary, that treaty relationship needs to continue to be defined. Canada wants to secure the economy, wants to extract our resources in our lands, but that certainty around that land title is important. Whose land is that? It's our land. It's your land. It's our treaty land. Government must be reminded of that. And so as we plan for the First Minister's meeting, that's one of the priority areas that we're going to continue to advance. So on behalf of myself, our 133 First Nations in this region, we welcome you again back to this beautiful Algonquin territory that we have here. I look forward to the next 3 days of conversations, and I hope everybody keeps cool, and I mean that temperature-wise. I'm respectful as well, though. I respect the next 3 days in advancing our collective priority. The unity that we have in the room needs to be continued to be forged forward for the benches, for our young ones. We have one joining us here today, and those who are not born yet. So,
Thank you, Regional Chief Benedict. So before we continue, I just want to remind you that quorum count is taken. Not too bad there. Thank you. Quorum count is taken based off of your red lanyards for those of us who are in the room. And also we do have a few chiefs joining us virtually, so I want to recognize their presence here with us. So just make sure that you do have your red lanyards present, because it is now the time to officially call to order the 2026 Assembly of First Nations Annual General Assembly. And now to continue with our opening protocol, I would move over to our new Youth Co-Chair, Carol LeBeau.
Hello, bonjour. Taluizi Carol LeBeau, Talumin, Abagwit, Wigi Lennox Island First Nation. Hi, my name is Carol LeBeau. I'm from Prince Edward Island, Lennox Island First Nation. It's an honor to be with you all today to help introduce our next speaker, AFN National Chief Sydney Woodhouse Nepinak. She was born and raised in Pinaway-Mootang First Nation in Manitoba. She is the youngest First Nations woman and mother to hold the position of National Chief. Please help me welcome her to the stage to provide her opening address to Chiefs in Assembly.
Well, I think I'm getting old now. No. Anine, hello. Good morning, everybody. It's such an honor to be here today and be with you here on the unceded, unsurrendered Algonquin and Anishinaabe territory. And I want to acknowledge and hold up our host drum, the Spirit Wolf drum singers. I also want to uphold the Water Singers. What a beautiful, beautiful song. Thank you so very much, Regional Chief. They've got such beautiful voices. Really touched me this morning. So I also want to thank Claudette Commanda, our knowledge keeper, for opening up this assembly in a good way with her prayer. We recognize the Eagle staffs and all the ceremonial items in this room. We acknowledge Chief Serzan for welcoming us to his territory, to their territory. We also send our love and strength to First Nations and first responders helping to battle floods and fires across the country. And just last night, unfortunately, one of our communities completely burnt down from fire, and it was very, very disheartening. So my heart goes out to Chief Helen Pavola, who I had the honor of seeing late last night, and she's now going home to see the evacuees coming from her community into Thunder Bay. And so our thoughts go out to the Megus Sigagem First Nation. We honor them, and please lift them up in prayer as their entire community has been devastated. We also lift up Regional Chief Benedict, Grand Chief Linda Bossegay, and chiefs from across Ontario for welcoming us this week and for your ongoing advice and inspiration. We appreciate your leadership on water, on policing, on the border, just to name a few. You do such good work. Also with Chief Fiddler at Anishinaabe Nation, your success in finalizing a Canada-Ontario agreement on long-term reform of the First Nations child welfare system is leading the way. It's been an honor to stand with you on this file, so I want to say congratulations. Speaking of advocates for children, I also want to personally recognize, where's Quebec? There he is. Regional Chief Paul for his work over this past year on this difficult file. We are so grateful for your passion and your patience. It has been a great honor to be serving all of you since 2023. As a national political organization, of course, the AFN has been advancing inherent rights and advancing treaty rights through the co-development of policy of public education and legislation for over 49 years. In March, we attended the BC Assembly of First Nations in Penticton, and we thank Chief Gabriel for welcoming us there, because that is where the AFN started after the National Indian Brotherhood. The AFN started there 49 years ago. It'll be 50 years next year. And the AFN is where it started for me. Before I go on, though, I do want to say, and it's not in my, but I always want to do this, because we're always told that as parents, and I know that, as we age, I'm the youngest of 5 children. I have a whole bunch of brothers. I have no sisters. I wish I did. But I have all older brothers, and but my parents are here, and I'm so glad that you are. So if my mom and dad, if you could just stand up and take a wave. These are my parents, Lorette and Garnet Woodhouse. But and through everything that they've been through, they both went to day school. They have horror stories that they share and tell me every day, and I'm just glad that you're both here and you're well. So thank you for being here for me. When I was 3 years old, I had attended my first, we didn't have much, but we drove from Manitoba to attend the Assembly of First Nations in Vancouver at that time, and Mom and Dad drove there. My dad was a counselor, and he supported our chief, and we drove. And I remember there was no air conditioning in the car, and it was awful, but we made it. And I was so happy to see the BC chiefs at that time. Your culture and your strength was, because we were coming from somewhere where all that was hidden still in the 80s, right? So we've come a long way, and we have a long way to go. Today, my role, of course, is always to advocate for each of you, for your priorities, as directed as well by chiefs in assembly, to protect our collective and our inherent rights. And we can't do this work without a strong AFN National Executive. So I want to personally thank all of our regional chiefs from coast to coast to coast for your work and your leadership. We also thank our Elders Council, the AFN staff that are here, advisory councils, and the chiefs from all over this beautiful country for your prayers, your thoughtful advice over the past few years. And we welcome you to our 2026 AFN Annual General Assembly. We've got close to 3,000 delegates this year, this summer. That's a lot. And close to 400 chiefs are here. Many of them are also online. Our trade show sold out quickly. Our golf tournament also sold out within 5 minutes. It was very, very quick. And that we have many cabinet ministers attending this week with a diverse range of members of parliament from all political stripes, Canadian senators. We are thankful to the media as well that are here, documenting this entire day, and we appreciate the important work that they do. We have representatives from Crown agencies, the private sector, from education, institutions, and environmental organizations. I think I also saw a few bankers here earlier. And we have a full agenda with over 50 resolutions on the schedule. So we are thankful and happy to get started, and very happy to see you all here. There's a lot of interest because First Nations are leading the way in all walks of life across Canada. We were also very happy to see the Toronto Maple Leafs add to that list last month by drafting Yukon's Gavin McKenna first in the NHL draft. We're so proud of Gavin, and his mom and dad had texted yesterday, and I said to them, what a blessing that you get to be, First Nation parents, that they get to see their son. It's all of our dream, right, as hockey parents, and I just lift them up and wish Gavin and his family well. We also lift up, of course, Carey Price, and for being inducted into the Hall of Fame a couple of weeks before that. So our best to the BC First Nation family. We just love you for paving the way. I'm going to say this, though. Reggie Leach must be next. And, the NHL, the NHL's listening. So First Nations, we are leading the way in so many areas. Yesterday, we met with the new Minister of Artificial Intelligence, Evan Solomon. He recognized the leadership of chiefs and the policy approved by all of you at our last assembly to develop a First Nations-led national AI strategy. But we made it clear to the Minister that there will be no mega AI data centers built on First Nations land without your consent or your participation. First Nations, of course, we also reminded him, can't just be the AI consumers. And if they want to build anything, First Nations need to be at the forefront of building what they wish, leveraging and controlling this technology, particularly with their youth. So we look forward to talking with Canada more about their AI strategy and the many other issues we have been working on over the past year. Just a few years ago, when running for this position, unity was a central piece of my campaign. In the years prior, we went through some difficult years. Well, there is still work to do, and we know we are making progress when we see First Nations leading the way in the media, in Parliament, and across society. It was so nice to see 12 First Nations people in Parliament. I'm so proud of all of them from all political parties. Yeah. Rebecca and Billy Morin, and they're from everywhere. And when Canadians, they stop me on the street, they offer encouragement, I know we are making progress. And we look around this, room, and when we see this week's agenda, we see more than progress. We see hope for the future. At the same time, we all understand this is a difficult time in this country's history. Prime Minister Carney has articulated this reality very well. But First Nations have always stood for this country in difficult times, and we know that this is another one of those times. Every single World War I, World War II, Afghanistan, the pandemic, now the separation, First Nations are at the front of that all the time. That is why chiefs in Alberta have been so strong in standing for unity against right-wing separatists. We have made it clear that any proposal to separate from any province or territory from Canada is fundamentally illegitimate and unconstitutional without the explicit, prior, informed and collective consent of First Nations. We need to make and call it what it is, because Albertans need to know that if they vote to separate from Canada, that they're not taking the land with them. So we lift the Alberta Chiefs up for their leadership. We are united behind you. I see many of them here. BC Chiefs were standing up as well for unity when they defeated their provincial government's misguided plan to roll back on the United Nations Declaration, because the alternative would have led to significant disunity. So we lift up all BC Chiefs, and Regional Chief TG, where's my friend? He's here. We lift you up for that, for leading the way on that and taking charge. First Nations have been there for Canada in difficult times because we are fundamental partners in this country. Our ancestors welcomed settlers to these shores, but they also learned through hard experience that if we don't mobilize to protect our rights, that no one else will. Today, our rights are being threatened in new ways, but we are not afraid, far from it. First Nations across the country are stronger than ever. So a lot has happened since we had gathered in December. Immediately following the Assembly, we made the journey to Montreal's airport to receive the artifacts the Vatican finally agreed to release. And that was the work of all of you. That was your work. And I want to thank the 4 young people. A few of them are here. I want to thank you for that they went and picked them up, on the other side of the pond and brought them back home to our people. We lift them up for that, and the elders that were all there. So today we are pleased to report that these relatives are resting just a few minutes away from here, awaiting their final journey home to many of your communities. It was an emotional moment for all of us and an important step forward. But we won't rest until we can bring back more from the Vatican and from other world institutions. They have our things all over the world, so I'll leave that there. I'm also pleased to provide a brief report because it has been a busy first half of 2026. A full session of Parliament just wrapped up. We visited King Charles in May, and we welcomed the new Governor-General Arbour in June. And we congratulate Prime Minister on an excellent choice and pay tribute to Mary Simon for doing such a great job. Thank you, Mary. There's a lot we could cover, but let me start by saying the highlights are being with chiefs in your communities. We started the year in the Arctic with the Dene people. My friend George McKenzie is here, and we can't thank you enough, Regional Chief McKenzie, for welcoming us in January, and it was cold. We talked about access to health care, about northern development, and the sovereignty of this beautiful country. And we discussed the sovereignty of our eastern neighbours, the Greenlandic Inuit. Together, we condemn Trump's reckless threats to control Greenland and his illegal threats against this country. Thinking of highlights from the past 6 months, we think of Chief Leroy Denny from the Nova Scotia Regional Chief Paul and our visit with the Mi'kmaq community this spring. With the Eskasoni Chief and Council, we talked about policing, about infrastructure, and of course boys and men's health and mental health. We heard about Nova Scotia's raids on First Nations cannabis operations and called on Canada to finally transfer control onto the territory to First Nations people. And it should go for every commodity. First Nations should be in control. We can't be controlled anymore by federal and provincial governments. On the other side of the country, Chief Jerome Jack welcomed us to his beautiful community on Victoria Island. So thank you, Chief, for having the Assembly of First Nations in your territory. It was a beautiful day, lots of food, salmon, and a good day. And we left more inspired to do more than we can to protect this beautiful earth for our children and double down on our advocacy to close the First Nations infrastructure gap. Back at the top of the country, we were so happy to spend time with chiefs in the Yukon last month and attend the Council's annual assembly. So we thank Yukon Regional Chief Alatini for hosting us and her great work on the executive. Thank you so very much. We discussed many topics with the Yukon chiefs, including plans for a First Ministers meeting this fall, focused exclusively on our issues. During his appearance at our December Special Assembly in December, Prime Minister Carney confirmed his support for a First Ministers meeting on First Nations issues in 2026. Excuse me. The Prime Minister went further in his speech to the AFN, to all of you, saying, "We will lead the agenda." So this First Ministers meeting promises to be unique in many ways, but it will be the first time to focus exclusively on First Nations. Miigwech. Thank you. All respect to them. For the First Ministers meeting, it was all respect to them, but when we got the premiers to agree with us last summer, and the missing piece of that, of course, was the Prime Minister, who confirmed in December, and all respect to other groups of people, but there will be no Métis and no Inuit at that table with us, just us with them. Securing this meeting, it didn't come easy, and part of me, I'm not going to believe it until we are there. We had tough discussions with the provinces last summer, but we lift them up for recognizing that we are now talking about a new Canada now. They can't leave us out anymore. They've left out all of you, all of us, for many years. Beyond the First Ministers meeting, we lift up leaders and national chiefs that have been seeking this opportunity for a long, long time. It has been over 20 years since our last national gathering around the Kelowna Accord. Rights holders should not have to wait 2 decades for the next one. Since December, we have been talking with our executive, with our elders and chiefs across the country about the outcomes that you want to see. We have been talking with leaders that went through the Kelowna Accord and the constitutional conferences of the 1980s. We want to thank everyone that has taken part in those dialogues so far. Through these conversations, general themes have emerged. First, chiefs are united in saying that this can't be a one and done. That means establishing an ongoing federal provincial accountability mechanism to ensure that socioeconomic gaps are addressed through deeds and not words, like the King had said when he opened up Parliament last year. Second, chiefs have told us not to rush planning. That's why we propose this meeting for a fall in Ottawa. Among other things, this will ensure time for discussions at this assembly. Space has been set aside for us to have a dialogue this week. It's a good timing because we can finally confirm today that the Prime Minister's office called and we had that discussion, and they had identified October 26th at the date for the meeting here in Ottawa. So October 26th. To start the conference in a good way, we will also invite First Ministers, the Premier's Prime Minister, to participate in a special ceremony in Ottawa on Sunday, October 25th. This will be a very important meeting at a critical time in this country's history, but as Elder Bill Wilson told First Ministers at the constitutional conferences in the 1980s, and I encourage you all to go look back at those conferences. It's very interesting. Our people have been involved in nation building on this land for 30,000 years. That's what his quote had said. So we look forward to hearing from chiefs on this important opportunity over the coming days. We will announce more with the Prime Minister's office over the coming weeks. Next week, Regional Chief LeBeaube and I will meet with the premiers in Prince Edward Island to keep this momentum going forward. Now, if the federal and provincial governments think that we are going to drop everything for the First Ministers' Conference, they have another thing coming. Along this work, we will ramp up our advocacy on many issues we have been working on since the last Assembly. There is the work being done to eliminate discrimination in the second-generation cutoff in the Indian Act, because First Nations must have the authority to determine their own citizenship. There is our demand that First Nations policing finally be recognized an essential service, and our call for an inquiry into the unacceptable RCMP surveillance of First Nations leadership going back to the 1970s. This includes the call for the full, unredacted release of all documents related to this police surveillance. You deserve to see those notes, and not blacked out either. Like I said, there are many issues, but we will conclude with a few words about the First Nations Clean Water Act and the major projects legislation Parliament will be reviewing in the fall. Both are on the agenda this week, so we look forward to hearing from you on these topics. On the final day of spring, Canada finally released an updated First Nations Clean Water Act and announced a $4.6 billion infrastructure investment. While the funding won't close the gaps, we talk to the chiefs all the time that will put those resources to work. In the spring, we traveled to Saskatchewan to be with Chief Wesley, the leadership, the elders, and the community members. We have offered them and the community of evacuees our full support. So it's disappointing that this new bill fails to clearly designate First Nations rights to clean water, because no sum of money will distract from the red flags we see in this new clean water bill. Sadly, it represents a step back from the progress that was made with Parliament in 2024. And I am going to just remind everybody again that no political party helped us on that. That bill was written, and it was written from people like Grand Chief Linda de Bossigay, Phil Fontaine, many other people that worked really hard to bring all of you that put that bill together, and for them to play politics with it. And none of the political parties would step up towards the end of Prime Minister Trudeau's last session to pass that bill. Now they've given us a new bill, and source water protection is weak and subject to a provincial veto. Amendments are going to be required, and rights holders, you must be provided with the opportunities to provide your perspectives to the parliamentary committees reviewing that bill this fall. That means committee members need to start traveling to communities that are living through a water crisis every day. They need to see that for themselves. They can't stay in an Ottawa bubble over here. We have similar concerns about the bill that we expect on major projects this fall. In May, we received a discussion paper from the federal government titled "Getting Major Projects Built." First, it needs to be stated clearly that the sweeping legislative and policy proposals in this discussion paper will fundamentally alter the way Canada protects or does not protect our planet. After initially providing just 30 days for a response, Canada extended the deadline to July 22nd of this year. Unfortunately, the revised timeline remains inadequate given the breadth of changes proposed. In addition to engagement, we identified other concerns, starting with the proposed one-year deadline to complete all of Canada's impact assessment and decision-making. We have said many times First Nations are for economic growth that will drive Canada's prosperity, but not at the expense of our rights or of the Crown's legal obligations to our people. A one-year timeline principally designed to attract investment subordinates the honour of the Crown to commercial imperatives. Instead, it'll give rise to questions about the legitimacy of approvals made without the Crown appropriately discharging its obligations to First Nations. The federal government can try and set up all the timelines that they want for project approvals, but they can't put a deadline on First Nations rights, and you have rights. But let's be clear. First Nations are for setting targets and accountability. We just wish Canada would show the same level of urgency when it comes to achieving targets they have already agreed to. For example, First Nations are still for closing the First Nations infrastructure gap by 2030, a deadline Canada promised us and committed to all of you in 2023. And we are still for setting targets to eliminate boil water advisories in First Nations communities, like Canada has been doing for the past decade. The federal government should be focused on these targets instead of imposing consultation deadlines that put the environment and First Nations rights at risk. And finally, we are very concerned how this approach to major projects will impact the new First Nations Clean Water Act. Weakening Canada's environmental protection framework will undermine these legislative safeguards, particularly related to source water protection. So the AFN will deliver a full analysis of the federal discussion paper before the new deadline and on July 22nd that reflects our legal review and your deliberations this week. As First Nations, our message is simple and practical, that our rights are our rights and this land is our land. Chiefs, you work unbelievably hard. You put yourself on the lines each day to help your communities. It has been an honor to be standing with you and working for you and advancing your priorities in your communities, guided by your policies, guided by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission calls to action, guided by the calls for justice and the public inquiry into our missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And we will be there with you together, just as our elders and our ancestors has wanted. By strengthening our relations united, we can achieve anything. So have a great assembly. Thank you for being here. Chimigwech, Gigobman. Thank you.
Walalan National Chief for those opening remarks. I will turn it over to my co-chair, Adam.
Miigwech, Kiera. So it looks like we're ready for business. We've got a number of chiefs lined up, ready to go. Let's roll up our sleeves and get right into things. But first, there's a couple of administrative things we need to do. Pass the rules of procedure and also the agenda. But just some technical things first in terms of how we are going to conduct the meeting here over the next 3 days. Reminder, if you are in the room, this is a hybrid session, so we do have chiefs online on Zoom. And for those of you joining us on Zoom, I know there was an issue about the audio. If you are online, there is a translation button. It's usually at the bottom of the screen. There's a globe icon, and you can choose whether you want to listen in English or French. So just go hit that button. Also, we ask that you keep your cameras on, if at all possible, especially if you are speaking. So if you're on Zoom and you wish to speak, raise your hand. Just find the raise hand function, click on that, we'll have you recognized, and if you can have your camera turned on, please. So just a note for those on Zoom. And of course, when we do the quorum count and we do voting, I'll explain the voting in a little bit, but it includes everybody here in the room and everybody on Zoom. Also in the room here, if you do require translation, just a reminder, this is a bilingual session, English and French, and we will be going back and forth. It's advised that you pick up a headset. If you can just raise your hands in the back, there are headsets way in the back. When I look to the back, it's on the right-hand side. There they are. Translation headsets are there. You can listen in English or French, so that's available. Make sure you take it back at the end of the day. So that's some housekeeping for Zoom and also here in the room. So just an update on how we make decisions. We no longer do the show of hands. Everything is done through electronic voting. Everything is encrypted. And there is a process that we've been going through the last couple of assemblies. I think we've sort of smoothed over some of the kinks. But just a reminder that everything is done electronically here in the room, also for those on Zoom. And if you are registered, if you happen to be out in the hall, I'm not recommending it, but you can still vote as long as you have access to the voting platform. In order to vote, chiefs and proxies, you need either a cell phone, a tablet, or some kind of a device, a laptop. I suppose even if you're at a desktop. Does anybody have those anymore? Desktop? You can vote on your desktop. So you need a device. If you do not have a device, there is a team available to help out. And where is the team? Who am I looking at? There is a team. There's also an office in the back, but if you can just go to the registration table, and also any of the staff, they'll help you out if you need a device. There's also charging stations throughout the assembly room. If you need to charge up your phone to make sure that you can vote, just ask for help. There is help available for that. There's also a guide. There is a voting guide that is in your packages, and everyone should have a copy, but it's becoming, once you do it once or twice, it becomes fairly straightforward and fairly simple. On your lanyards, normally we have a QR code. When they printed off the QR codes this morning, or sorry, the lanyards, they did not have a QR code. They have another one available for you. If you need a QR code, if you want your lanyard updated, just take it to the registration booth. They'll give you another one. There is a QR code that will be put on there. Just take your phone, scan the QR code, and it'll take you to the guide, but also the voting platform. And it'll give you all of the directions. Again, if you need help, if you don't have a device, we will have support staff throughout, and we want to make sure everybody has an opportunity. So what we're going to do, because this is again fairly new, but I think we're all familiar with the process, we're going to go through and explain the process a little bit, and then we're going to do a test vote. So we'll be doing a test vote, not yet, but we will be doing a test vote very shortly, and then we'll be using that once we get to the rules of procedure. So here's what happens. This is in the guide. You have all this information, but when the voting period starts, you'll get a link, you'll get an email. When you registered, you should have registered with your email. We have your email. As part of the registration process, you have to upload your identification, your ID, your driver's license, passport, other forms of ID. You upload that. All that happens. That should have happened by now. If you have not done that, please ensure that you do that now. When we make a decision, we will open the polls. You'll get an email. Instantly, you'll get an email. Everyone that is registered gets an email. On the email, there's a link to the voting platform. There's also a 6-digit personal identification number, a 6-digit code. It's your code for your specific email. Nobody else can use it. Your email address and your 6-digit code. You probably remember this from the last assembly. If you have any issues, if you have any problems, I am going to ask Encore to put up the voter's guide with some of the phone numbers up on the screens, please. There's a phone number that you can call. It's up on the screen, 1-833-236-8324. Or you can email registration@afn.ca. So if you need some help, call that number or email that email address. They will help you out. And again, we have staff throughout available to help. So what happens is once you get your email, you'll have some options. Voting in favor of the resolution, opposed to the resolution, or abstaining to the resolution. Again, standard 3 questions. Submit your vote, click on submit, and that gets submitted. Again, this is encrypted to your specific email address, and you will not be able to vote again on that specific issue. So that is the process. If you need some help, the team will have orange lanyards, and they're all over at the distribution table. If you can just raise your hands. Distribution. Orange lanyards. If you need some help, you can head over there, they'll help you out, or raise your hand and they'll come and help out. So that's the process for electronic voting, some technical processes, but once we do it once or twice, again, it's fairly straightforward. Every time we vote, you will get another email that prompts you. It's the same 6 digits, just cut and paste and insert that and go into the voting platform and cast your ballot, cast your vote. If you are struggling to get it, or if you don't get an email for some reason, it's always the same PIN code, it's the same voting platform. So you can go back to the very first email. It's not a new link every time. So if you are having some issues, go back to the previous email. That'll help you out. So, and again, if you need some help, we're here. Orange lanyards are available. The phone number we had up on the screen and the email address, registration at afn.ca. So that is the process. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a test vote. We are going to do a test vote. There's actually 2 questions on this, so it's as if we're voting on 2 resolutions. Up on the screen, if I can have the question, please. Up on the screen, I'm not sure if Encore has the questions, but we do have 2 questions that we will be asking you. Encore may not have the questions. If they do, they'll put it up on the screen. Otherwise, okay, test vote. We're going to vote now. Everybody ready? Please open the polls. Open the polls. At this point, every chief or proxy representative that is registered for today, you should have an email. Again, in that email is a 6-digit PIN, personal identification number. Use that PIN that it tells you in the initial email. Use that PIN, it takes you to the voters platform. You can either cut and paste, copy and paste, or retype it in. It takes you to the question. We've got 2 questions. They are, hamburger should always come with onion rings. Hamburger should always come with onion rings. That's the first question. Are you opposed? In favor or abstain? And I was just reminded, once you vote, you have to click on Submit Vote. So once you've selected your choice, hit Submit Vote. Should be at the bottom. That's the first question. We're actually voting on 2. The second question, pineapple. Pineapple should be part of all pizza toppings. Pineapple. Hey, I've got some pineapple fans here. I know we feel very strongly about that. I don't know if we'll get a solid vote on that. If you like pineapple on your pizza, it should be on all pizzas. In favor, in opposition, or you abstain. In terms of abstentions, I'll explain how that goes once you give us a mandate with some rules to follow. We're not there yet, but we'll explain that in the rules of procedure. Questions being called? Any issues? Any challenges? Anybody? Everybody's okay on your vote? It's actually fairly straightforward. We have someone that has some issues right in the middle to my left. If I can have one of our staff from distribution come over. They are here. They're dealing with these ones here. We want to make sure you're okay. Oh, yeah. And right here in the middle as well, right along the aisle, I think my colleague Cedric is going to help out. You should have an email when you registered. You provided an email, you provided all your information, and I want to make sure you're okay. Once you get the email, copy the PIN number, and then it takes you to the voting platform. You vote on the 2 questions, and then hit submit. Once you hit submit, it's registered in the system, it's encrypted. Now, while we're doing that, there's no way of recording your opposition or your abstention if you want it noted for the record. There's no way we can do that through this process. If anybody feels strongly that they want their opposition or their abstention noted for the record, during this voting process, you feel free to approach the microphone and state your opposition. That's all. We are not getting into the discussion as to why. That can be done before the vote. But just if you officially want your name and First Nation for the record, if you're in opposition or abstaining, you can approach the microphone. Otherwise, we will just tally up the vote. So it looks like we've got a number of chiefs still getting some help. Again, if you don't have a phone or a device, we will help you out as well. Just approach one of the staff with the orange lanyards. Just want to make sure that everybody's good, because we are getting into an actual decision very shortly. And once we get going, it's going to be a little bit quicker. We bach no it's tanyese. Ishpin Zam Genwish is Segnogum. We bach tanyese and Denina. Anybody else? Did we resolve all our issues? Looks like we're helping somebody over here. Did we get everybody in the middle here? Anybody else need some help? On my left, anybody else? Okay, we got one in the middle, so we'll make sure we come to you. And we're helping some chiefs over here as well. So again, we're voting on two. So as we go through this process, I know you're all aware sometimes we have a basket or a bundle of resolutions where we might bring together resolutions with a common theme. For example, if we have 4 resolutions that are health related, we will bring them together. They are still separate resolutions, but we will deal with them all together, and then we go to vote. You will be able to vote on each of those 4 resolutions separately, but we'll go through one process. And I'll take some time now, since we're waiting, in the rules of procedure. So I don't have to explain this again later. We will go through the voting process, but in the rules of procedure, we're actually looking for consensus. In my language, I would say, we are looking for consensus. So if it looks like we have consensus, I will ask if there's any opposition to a resolution. If there's no opposition, by show of hands, in the room or on Zoom, that means the resolution will be pronounced carried by consensus. We will not bother going through the voting process. It's carried by consensus. If there's no opposition. If there is some opposition, or if somebody wishes to call for a vote, somebody can raise their hand, and then we will go to the vote. So just so that you're aware, that is what is in the rules of procedure. We've had to make some modifications, because normally it was very easy by show of hands. We just look around the room, but electronic voting, you sort of can't, it's one or the other. Are we good? I know there was a chief in the middle here. Did you get help? You're okay? All right, thank you. You got going to get my colleague to. Everyone has access to Wi-Fi. Okay, there is a Wi-Fi with a password. I'm going to get Kiera to give it to us.
So the password is Assembly 2026 with an uppercase A.
I don't remember passwords. I just punch it in once, and or somebody helps me out. Okay, we're good. We're just resolving some issues. I think we're finishing up, but I will now close the polls. Encore, close the polls, and the results are in. I will have the results, please put up on the screen. On the screen, please. It looks like we had eligible voters, 275. We had a total of 180 cast their vote. And for the first question, hamburgers should always come with onion rings. Oh, it's close. 54.8% are in favor, 45.2% are opposed. Oh my goodness, 25 abstained? No comment? I thought that was an easy one. So it looks like 54.8% are in favor. Remember, Chiefs, in the rules, in order for a resolution to pass, you need 60%, so the resolution fails. No onion rings. Test vote, the other test vote results. Pineapple should always be part of all pizza toppings. Oh, this one did it. Yes, 134, 55 opposed, 18 abstained. And just a reminder, we don't count the abstentions in the percentage count. So 65.2% in favor. So, yes, pineapple should always be part of pizza. I'll have to give that a try. Okay, that's the test vote. Thank you. So we'll get into business. I see, again, Chiefs at the microphones, but in order for us to know how to conduct the affairs of the Assembly, we need the rules of procedure. So we're going to get right into it. We do have the rules of procedure in your conference booklets. It has not changed since the last Assembly. There was a change in 2024. I believe that was Montreal 2 years ago, in terms of when the quorum count is established. So on each day, every morning, when the call to order is made, we do a count of how many chiefs and proxies are in the room, physically and online. We take that number, and that is the number that we will be using. In order to make decisions, we need 50% plus one of that number in order to make decisions that day. Again, at call to order, we get a total number, 50% plus one is the quorum count. In order for a resolution to be carried, we need 60%, at least 60% of those that voted either in favor or against. We don't include abstentions in the count. So that's in the rules of procedure. Also, we do have a timer that runs when speakers are speaking. We do have a timer. Again, this was asked from the Assembly floor just to help guide you through the process. So there will be a timer running. The time allocated for speakers when we're having discussion dealing with resolutions is 4 minutes. So the mover, seconder have up to 4 minutes each. If you wish to speak to a resolution, you have up to 4 minutes. You don't have to take the whole time, but you have up to 4 minutes. The timer will be running. We ask for your respect because we know many, many people want to speak. We ask for your respect to stick to the time frame so that we can get to everybody that wants to speak. That is our effort. So we have 4 minutes. That's in the rules. And again, 60% to make a decision. So that's in the rules of procedure. We have the rule to adopt the rules of procedure. Encore, if you have that motion, if you can put it up on the screen, please. We may not have that motion. It is just, not just, but it is a motion. It's not a resolution. But the motion is that the First Nations in Assembly move to adopt the rules of procedure for the AFN Annual General Assembly held July 14th to 16th, 2026 in Ottawa, Ontario. So that's the motion. I need a mover and a seconder. So I see a hand raised in the back. Chief Jacko, are you? Okay. So first and third in line. Microphone 1, please.
Glanite, Kelsey Nachethushe, Goldry, Thui Chaktwe, Chief Kelsey Jacko, Cold Lake First Nations. I just want to give thanks for the ones who raised the pipes this morning and the one open in prayer. And thank you for accepting us on the Algonquin territory. But I just wanted to make an amendment to the agenda.
Chief Jacko?
Yeah.
So we're on the rules of procedure. We'll come up to the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah. But you're willing to move the rules of procedure? Okay.
Sure.
You got you. Thank you. So the third person, microphone 1, you're seconding the motion, correct?
Yes, Chief John Powell, Mamalilakla. I second the motion to accept the rules of procedure.
You got you. Thank you. So there's a motion on the floor to accept the rules of procedure. Again, these are your rules. You give us guidance, and once you pass that, that's what we will follow, because you're giving that to us. Any comments on the rules? Any comments on the motion? I see none online. Normally, the process, this is not written, the process is if people approach the mics, I'll go to mic 1, 2, online, and then back, so we'll go in a circle. Any of the speakers want to speak to the motion? No? Okay. If not, we are going to go to a vote. Normally this is simple, but I just want to go through the voting process again. So we're going to do it electronically. Open the polls, please. Encore, if you can open the polls. Chiefs here in the room, on Zoom, and proxy representatives, you should get an email. This is to adopt the rules of procedure for this assembly. Fairly straightforward. Use the email that you would have just gotten now. Use the same 6 digits. Go in, cast your vote, and then make sure you hit submit, and that will enter your vote. I need that theme music, eh? I can't even hum. So, results are coming in. It's fairly straightforward. I'll give it a few more seconds. Again, this is motion number 1. So the actual written text of the motion, we don't have a slide up on the screen for that, but we will have the results. Results are coming in. Anybody have any issues? We want to make sure we have one issue here. Anybody else have any issues voting? This is more of a test vote as well. Any issues voting? I see one here. Nobody else? Again, you can head over to the distribution table. They have orange lanyards, or the staff are going around. We also have the phone number that you can call. And actually, Encore, can I get you to put up the slide with the phone number and the email address for assistance on the voting? If we can have that up on the screen. So you can call the number. You can email registration@afn.ca, or look to the staff with the orange lanyards. Are we okay here? Anybody else? Okay, we're good. Close the polls, please. And if I can have Encore put up the results of the vote on the first motion on the screen. And so we had 171 votes, 1 opposed, and so therefore motion is carried. Thank you. We'll now again get into business. Chiefs, as co-chairs, we have an obligation to follow the rules you've just given us. So please, we're here to help you. This is your assembly, but please help us so that we can move forward in a good way. Next motion is to adopt the agenda for this assembly. So what I will do is I will go through the draft agenda. It will be up on the screen, and then I will ask for a mover and a seconder, and then we will open it up for discussion. I see 2 hands raised. So the second, Chief at microphone 1, you're moving? Okay. Oh, Chief Jacko, were you ready to move? Okay. So Chief Jacko will second. Proxy Wilson will come back and you can speak to the motion. So we have a mover and a seconder. Up on the screen, we have the draft agenda. This is in your packages. We've gone through several drafts. This is the draft agenda that is being brought to you. It is in your packages. It is online. It's on the website. And again, there is a QR code you can access. It has all of that information. Folks back home, you can let them know, check afn.ca. It has this draft agenda. On one side, I will have French, and to my left, we'll have English. So this is the 2026 Annual General Assembly, July 14th to the 16th, 2026, here in Ottawa. The agenda starts with the pipe ceremony. It actually says 6:30, but I believe it's 7 a.m. pipe ceremony. The Circles of Trade opens at 9 a.m. Registration opened at 7:30. At 8:30, we have the opening ceremony with a grand entry with the Spirit Wolf Singers. The opening prayer with Knowledge Keeper Claudette Commanda. Miigwech for that, Knowledge Keeper Claudette. I'd like to acknowledge the opening prayer this morning. We had the host welcome, Chief Greg Sarazin from the Algonquins of Pikwakanagan. The regional welcome with Ontario Regional Chief Abram Benedict. We had 9:30, the address by National Chief Cindy Woodhouse Nepinak. 10 a.m., the adoption of the rules of procedure for Assembly and the adoption of the agenda. 10:30, we have the audited financial statements and financial reporting. We have 2 speakers there identified. 11 o'clock, we want to get into resolutions. And again, I'll note this part. We've heard you, chiefs, previous assemblies, you want to make decisions. You want to get right into resolutions, so the team has put that first and foremost once we get through the administrative matters. Get right to making decisions, get right to resolutions, so that those resolutions can be actioned and move forward on your decisions. So we have resolutions, 11 o'clock. We will not break for lunch. We will continue. We will have a working lunch. This is what's identified on the agenda. So we will continue on with presentations during lunch, the council reports, the Knowledge Keepers Council, the Veterans Council, 2SLGBTQIA Plus Council, National Youth Council, and the Women's Council. We will start on those updates. At 1 p.m., we'll have a plenary session on the First Nations Clean Water Act. We'll have an introduction with Regional Chief Brendan Mitchell, and the discussion is Bill C-37, the First Nations Clean Water Act. We have a number of speakers identified, and you'll see on the agenda we have Grand Council Chief Linda Debasage and Shinabeg Nation, Chief Billy Morin, Conservative Shadow Minister for Indigenous Services, Leah Gazan, NDP Critic for Indigenous Affairs, and Jeanette Levac, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Indigenous Services. So that's 1 o'clock plenary. 2 p.m., plenary session on government consultation on streamlining major projects, honoring the duty to consult and upholding environmental protections. We have 2 speakers, Drew LaFond, legal with MLT Aikens, as well as Chief Lance Haymond from Kipawak First Nation. We'll have that plenary session and then resolutions at 3 p.m., 2 hours to finish off at 5 p.m. So that's day 1. Day 2, Wednesday, again, pipe ceremony at 7 a.m. Registration opens at 7:30. The Circle of Trade just outside to your left, that opens at 9 a.m. And we will start off right off the bat at 9 a.m. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Again, in your rules of procedure, as soon as we call to order, that's when the quorum count is established. So in order to have decisions made for resolutions, we need a quorum. So we're going to establish quorum right off the bat, 9 o'clock. Resolutions, 10:30, you'll see on the agenda, draft agenda, the plenary session on First Nations First Ministers meeting. We'll have an introduction with Gina Wilson, charting the path to a First Nations First Ministers meeting. We have a number of speakers: Joanne Wilkinson, Indigenous Relations Advisor with Privy Council Office. We have Chief Jonathan Passap, Chief Roderick Gould Jr., Chief Judy Thomas, and Chief Joe Muskokaman as part of that panel. That'll take us to 12 o'clock. Again, we will have a lunch hour presentation. We'll have an update from the Settlement Implementation Committee, that's SIC, on the FNCFS and Jordan's Principal Class Action. So that'll be a presentation at lunchtime. 1 o'clock resolutions. 3:30, we'll have another plenary session, this one on health. It'll be led by Regional Chief Wendell LeBaube, and the theme is the gaps in First Nations addictions treatment centers and access. So we'll have a number of speakers. We'll have Chief Tim Omenica. We'll have Dr. Carol Hopkins. And if we scroll down, I believe that is the two speakers we'll have there. At 3:30, another presentation, Men and Boys Mental Wellness Strategies. We'll have speakers Chief Leroy Denny, Kate Anderson, and a guest speaker, the family of Jolly Sutherland Weenie will be here as well. At 4:15, we have a plenary session on housing strategy and infrastructure. We'll have an introduction by Regional Chief Brendan Mitchell. We'll have the special guest speaker. We'll have the Honourable Mandy Golmasti, Minister of Indigenous Services. So the Minister will speak as part of that plenary session. And then we have two chiefs that will be speaking on the right to safe housing and infrastructure. Again, it's all the same theme on housing. It's a panel. Chief Elvin Flett and Chief Dolores Kakagamak. At 5 o'clock, we'll have a plenary session on child welfare, ending Canada's discrimination in First Nations child and family services outside of Ontario. It's an update on the 2025 CHRT 80 and the next steps. So that's the final agenda item for Wednesday. We'll have speakers, Regional Chief Francis Barreau-Paul, Dr. Cindy Blackstock, and Chief Pauline Frost. So that's the session on child welfare. That'll close up day 2. That'll take us to 5:45. Again, it's a very important agenda item, so it's a longer day. Next day, day 3, up on the screen. Again, we open with the pipe ceremony, 7 a.m., 8 a.m. The registration tables will be open. Circle of Trade opens at 9 a.m. 9 o'clock, we have ministerial guest speakers. So we have the Honourable Dominic LeBlanc. I'm not sure if there was a change on that, but that's what we have on the agenda. We have the Honourable Rebecca Alty, Minister of Crown and Indigenous Relations. We have the Honourable Mandy Golmasti, Minister of Indigenous Services, the Honourable Rebecca Chartrand, Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs, the Honourable Gary Anandasangari, Minister of Public Safety, the Honourable Tim Hodgson, Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, and the Honourable Buckley Belanger, Secretary of State, Rural Development. So those are the ministers we have on the agenda. We'll keep going down. 10:30. We'll have resolutions. We'll continue with that. 12 p.m. There will be a lunch presentation, Future Generations Foundation's annual report. So again, that'll be taking place during the noon hour. We'll just continue on all 3 days. At 1 p.m., plenary session on the second generation cutoff. So we'll have an introduction by National Chief Cindy Woodhouse Nepinak, and we will have, again, the Minister will be back, the Honourable Mandigol Masti, the Minister of Indigenous Services, to come and speak to that. 1:30, we'll get back to resolutions, and 4 o'clock, closing ceremony. We'll have the closing remarks with National Chief Woodhouse Nepinak. We'll have the closing prayer. We'll have Knowledge Keeper Jane Chartrand from the Algonquins of Pikwakanagan, and then the closing ceremony. So that'll wrap things up about 4:30 on day 3. Chiefs, this is your meeting. That's the agenda as presented. We do have a mover and seconder. I just want to identify the names first. So microphone 1 is the mover. Just to identify yourself for now.
Chief Raymond Powder, Fort McKay First Nation, Treaty 8. Miigwech.
Thank you, Chief Powder. And seconder, I believe I said would be Chief Jacko.
Chief Kelsey Jacko, Cold Lake First Nations, Treaty 6, Alberta Region.
Okay, so the motion is on the floor. So mover, you have up to 4 minutes.
Atlanta de. Kitam skat now giwo. The Naskuntan Niponota. Mi waiting a seminar gakio bidotinota. Giwo. Ugumawak, Gitayak, Quioxisi Mantu Sawimnan, Quoxisi Niganu Maastan, Uspoagan, Igua, Kagisamoan, Aimihan, Muitin Oxisi Nia Ugumau. First of all, I want to give my acknowledgements and respectful greetings to each and every one of you here to the 2026 Annual General Assembly of the First Nations of Canada. And it's with great honor that I stand before you and I acknowledge the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Algonquin, unceded territory, veterans, elder, prayer, Claudette, commander, drummers, National Chief Cindy Woodhouse, regional chiefs, grand chiefs, the honor of the pipe ceremony this morning, and to the treaties we honor. Elders, chiefs, proxies, technicians, youth, and my family of First Nations, I welcome each and every one of you here today to the 2026 Annual General Assembly of the Assembly of First Nations. And with my great heartfelt acknowledgements, blessings, and keep fighting on, warriors, for what we need to do as the First Peoples of Canada and as the First Nations. I now move to accept the agenda for the 2026 National Assembly of the First Nations to commence the Annual General Assembly. As long as the sun shines, the rivers flow, the grass grows. Be blessed. Mantu Suimnan, Dinaskumtin, Marsicho.
Miigwech, Dinaskumtin. Chief Jacko, microphone 1.
Yes, I would like to move the agenda with a friendly amendment. The Children's Chief Commission saw last week that the plenary session about our kids was scheduled on the last day in the afternoon. We asked the executive to move it earlier in the agenda, and I appreciate that they moved it. But it is now basically off the agenda because they moved it to 5 p.m. on Wednesday, when most chiefs already have dinner plans. I also understand that ISK and Cernak Minister are hosting a 500 ticket event at the same time. So if I'm successful at adopting the agenda, maybe somebody can offer me a ticket. And our kids are important enough to make a priority and not a conflict with other events, especially with the upcoming CHRT deadline. We'll be asking the chiefs to vote on resolutions about the contents of this presentation, and they need to have enough time to talk about the information with their colleagues before they vote. So I'd like to move it to 1 o'clock on Wednesday if possible. Masicho.
Miigwech. So just, I'll need some guidance and help with our team here, but just to be clear, I think what you're asking is the plenary session on child welfare, currently scheduled for 5 p.m. Wednesday, be moved to 1 p.m. That's the request?
Masi, yeah.
Okay. So right now we have resolutions at 1 p.m. So just as long as you're aware that sort of bumps resolutions, I'm not sure if there's anywhere else we can expand on that, but that would bump it to the next available slot. So you're aware of that? Okay, very good. Mover, are you okay with that change?
I'll move to accept the amendment for as proposed by Chief Jacko, Treaty 6, Cold Lake First Nation.
So just a couple of clarifications. I know that we had 45 minutes on the agenda for this particular topic. At 1 o'clock, we have resolutions, so we can get to resolutions. It'll be a shorter period, but the question then is, and the first question, do we then have resolutions at the end of the day as well? That's the first question. Secondly, is it the 45 minutes that we're looking at? And that would take us to 1:45. So sorry, Chief Jacko, two questions there.
Yes, that'll be fine.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. Seconder, you're okay with that?
You're the seconder. Yeah, I'm
Oh, you are the
yes,
seconder.
yes.
Yeah, mover, are you okay with that? Okay, so here's what we're doing. We're going to, from 1 p.m. to 1:45, we will have the plenary session on child welfare. Thank you. I'll now go to microphone 2 and then make our rounds. Microphone 2, please.
Thank you. Judy Wilson, proxy holder for Shuswap Band. I just also wanted to thank the drummers and the songs and the grand entry this morning and also being on the lands of the Anishinaabe Algonquin people. I wanted to be able to support those friendly amendments to the agenda, having the children moved up to 1 o'clock Wednesday. But I also was speaking to another agenda item, was also on draft resolution 40. We can't see any of the lands on the agenda anywhere. And we want to ensure that draft resolution 40 about reinstating the Chiefs Committee on Lands Territory Resources is on the agenda, and it's going to be moved up in the agenda. And I think Chief King's going to speak to that because we're mover and seconder. But it's so important that we have our children at the center. So if we do move our children to the center Wednesday at 1, that's going to be very important. It's outstanding major issues for us here in the rest of Canada to be able to have our children upheld in a good way, and also that we're going to be able to also follow up with what National Chief is saying about our lands are so important as well. We have to have our lands as the foundation as well. So I'm speaking to those two friendly agenda items. I'm hoping that the mover and seconder are also supportive of those two items.
Miigwech, thank you. So in terms of the first, you're supporting the change that was requested, and that's now been accommodated. Secondly is resolution number 40.
Yes.
So what we'll do is we'll make sure that the resolutions team takes note of that, and that here's what you're asking, that it be addressed early in the assembly. Microphone 2.
It's not taking note of it. We're actually asking for the resolution to be moved up. Chief King, maybe you can speak more to it.
Okay, I want to make sure I follow the order, just to be fair. So I
still have 2 minutes.
Okay, so you're giving him, okay.
Good morning. Gima Ogima Nijnikas Kiasagin Donji, Chief Wilfred King from Galway First Nation. Just on a point of order, Mr. Chair, I'm raising a point of order related to the order of the proceedings. It is a long-standing convention that organizational resolutions are to be dealt with before other resolutions. Draft resolution number 40 is an organizational resolution currently before this assembly and has not been heard. I don't want to get too much into the debate of the resolution itself. It speaks for itself, but I just want to make it known that this resolution, we're asking that it be brought to the front. It's resolution number 40, and it dealing with lands. This committee, I'm the national co-chair of this committee, and we were never notified that it would be morphed into the economic development wing of the AFN. And we were never consulted, we were never notified of these changes, and we were told that this was a result of budgetary constraints. Well, to me, this committee does very important work in terms of related to lands, and it's a contingent liability on the Crown in the tune of billions and billions of dollars, and we feel that this resolution garners the attention of this Assembly, and I'm sure that most of the chiefs in the Assembly are not aware that this committee has been relegated under the Economic Development Wing, and we would like to be reinstated. Therefore, I'm asking that it be brought to the front of the resolutions. Miigwech.
Miigwech, thank you. So, Chief King, you referenced it as a point of order. Is that an official point of order? Or
Yes,
is
it is. It's an organizational point of order. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll just take a short 30-second recess to make note of the point of order and come back to you. Miigwech, we will reconvene. We are back. So there's a point of order that has been raised. We are conferring with the AFN Legal and the resolutions team on that particular aspect. So, Chief King, we'd like to come back to that before we get to the vote on this. So we'll come back to you. Miigwech. Having said that, again, concerns are noted to have the resolutions brought forward earlier. I don't see any hands raised online, so back to microphone number 1.
Good morning. Mary T.G. Gray, Chief Proxy for Stalaco First Nation. I am from Takla Nation, British Columbia. I would like to, I guess, to start the morning, I always like to start the morning in a good, positive way, but again, here I am at the mic to express my deep frustration that our children are yet not prioritized. We say that all the time as leaders, as chiefs, our children are our future, our children are our priority. But if you look at the agenda, the first iteration of the agenda was that our plenary, on the most important decision that you will ever vote on in your leadership life, the long-term reform for our children. That Canadian Human Rights Tribunal ruling has said that this has to be, what we decide is going to impact generations in the future. So that we have to bring this up at the agenda, or this morning, to say, we had to say that Thursday, at the end of the day, wasn't good enough to have the plenary on children and family, child and family services. The National Children's Chiefs Commission has to report out. That's what they agreed to. That's what you agreed to when the National Children's Chiefs Commission. You gave direction to the AFN to work with the National Children's Chiefs Commission as part of the Chiefs Assembly, not external to it. So yesterday we had a dialogue session, and thank you to all those good people, the great leaders that came out to that dialogue session, even though, again, it was at the end of the day. And that dialogue session was considered an external presentation. The National Children's Chiefs Commission comes from the Chiefs Assembly. It is created by the Chiefs, and that has to be honored. There has been 13 breaches of the resolutions since we passed it in Calgary. And that's ridiculous. There's 14, no, actually it's 14 sections of the resolutions breached on Child and Family Services matters. 14 breaches. 13 of those since we had our assembly in Calgary in October 2024. Every word and everything that you vote on and that's passed here when it comes to Child and Family Services has to be priority. And so I would like to say, remember your place, chiefs and leaders. Your place now is in history. And what will our children say if our agenda, which is a historical document, doesn't even put them at the center and prioritize them? Yet here we are having a discussion to say Wednesday at 5 p.m. does not work for our children. Wednesday at 5 p.m. when there is a $500 plate dinner for the Liberals, is that what it is? Wednesday when there is a soccer game that we know some people will go to, our children are priorities, and let the record show that you voted on the right side of history, because this will go down in history. And yet again, I'm at the mic to say, how could we put our children at the back burner? How can we say our children are a priority when our agenda doesn't even reflect that? Thank you.
Thank you. Miigwech, Proxy TG. So again, not hearing an amendment on the agenda, although the change was already made to reflect the request. Going back to the point of order, Chief King, so we've discussed, and the ruling on the point of order is we'll deal with Resolution 40 first before the emergency resolution. So thank you. Again, Chiefs, I hear you. You want to get into the decision making. So I do see a number of Chiefs at the microphones. If you are in support of the change that has already been made, thank you. But I think what we would need to do is pass a motion and make the decision. So I'm going to go back to microphone 2.
Chief Jenny Bray, Hollywood First Nation. I'd like to request an amendment to the agenda to move the council reports to a more appropriate time. Our councils work extremely hard to bring their reports to us. They work all throughout the year, and I think they deserve a more fulsome audience that is outside of lunch hour.
Thank you. So there is a request to move the council reports from 12 p.m. to another time, and I'm just looking to our team for some guidance, because I know that we have heard loud and clear, Chiefs, that you want to get the resolutions as soon as possible. So just looking at, did you have a suggested time, or?
I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We're just trying to figure out the best time. So there's a couple of options. Well, one option is we have the council reports on day one, which is today, when we were going to be dealing with resolutions, which is 3 p.m. Having said that, just to be mindful that during the earlier some of the earlier drafts, and the process that we have is that each of the councils have 5 minutes each to make their presentations. So if we're going to move it outside of the noon hour, during lunch hour, we were just going to give them all whatever it takes up to the hour. So we would have to stick to the 5-minute time frame from each of the councils. Are you comfortable with that? And then we would move them to 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Before resolutions, and then we would get to resolutions. That cuts into the resolutions, but this is your meeting. Microphone 2.
This was raised to me by members of council, so I'm looking over at some of my council pals to give a nod if that feels good for them. Thumbs up. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll do that. We'll move the council updates to 3 p.m. Having said...
To 3:30.
3:30?
3 to 3:30.
Oh, 3 to 3:30. 3 to 3:30. Thank you. And that means that it frees up the noon hour. So that's the implication of that. Mover, are you okay with that? Where did our mover go? And seconder. Mover, are you okay? Microphone 1, please.
Good. Hello. In recognition of the proposed amended agenda by Chief Jenny Craig, I believe that's her name, Council reports as stated for 12 noon. However, there's a time slot as accepted from 3 p.m. to 3:30. Accepted.
Thank you. Seconder. Microphone number 1.
Okay.
Well, I'm okay with moving it, but the mover, yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay, we're good?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Back to microphone number 2.
Good morning. My name is Terrence Nelson. I'm from Rosa River Anishinaabe First Nation. I just want to go back to, I guess I want to give something to National Chief for you to take to the government. Rosa River Anishinaabe First Nation, we went into negotiation on July 27, 1871 for treaty number 1. They were going to walk away by August 2nd, but they asked for us to stay, our people to stay, and on August 3rd they signed the treaty number 1, only because of the outside promises made on August 2nd. This is the invoice that Rosa River has, our Chief and Council has put together. I'd like to give it to National Chief so that you could take that to the government. One of the things that happened in 1871 was a man named Asini Inin. He was 12 years old at the time of the treaty. He was put in there at during the negotiations, and he always said, when he was talking to my dad, he said he would tell the people. He said he told the Indian Affairs agent. He told him in very clear language. He said, "You're lying." He told the Indian agent. I was there. I know what was promised to our people. It wasn't $5, and that's what I presented to National Chief, the invoice. It's over $7 trillion invoice from Rosa River. I want to make that very clear statement. We own all of these lands, 3.83 million square miles in Canada. We're not here as beggars, and I know that in Alberta they said, that they own the land. A very clear message. They don't own the land. They're immigrants. These are immigrants that came to our lands. They try to take our resources, try to take our lands, and we don't have benefits from immigrants. We have benefits from our lands, and that's what I'm provided with to a national chief. So thank you very much for allowing me to present that. Miigwech.
Miigwech. Miigwech. Very powerful statement and very powerful invoice that will be submitted about the truth. I don't think you had any more comments. Okay, we're good to go. I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to call for question. Motion is on the floor to adopt the agenda as amended, and what I'll do is I'll just let you know quickly the changes. So the changes are that we will start with draft resolution number 40 once we get to resolutions, and then go to emergency resolution number 1, ER number 2. We will have a lunch break at 12 o'clock. The council reports will be at 3 to 3:30 p.m. Day 2, the change is 1 o'clock to 1:45. We'll have the plenary on child welfare. That will be added to 1 p.m. 1:45 to 3:30, we'll have resolutions. 3:30 to 4:15, we'll have the plenary session on health. And then 4:15 to 5 o'clock, the plenary session on housing strategy and infrastructure. And then 5 o'clock to 5:45, resolutions. So that's the amendment. So, agenda as amended. Open the polls, please. Open the polls. So, chiefs, proxies, you should get an email. If you don't get an email, just use the previous email. This is the motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Yeah, we have the team walking around, team with the orange lanyards. They are there to assist if you have any issues. Again, you can also email registration@afn.ca. If you're online, on Zoom, or if you're in the room, you are eligible to vote. So you can cast your vote. Again, this is a motion. While we're waiting, just to let you know, normally when we go through resolutions, again, we're looking for consensus. We are all on the same page, and when we go through resolutions, I'll ask, the first question will be whether or not there's any opposition, but I just wanted to go through this process for now as a test vote. I see quite a few results coming in. Any more issues? Raise your hand. Chiefs, proxy representatives. Okay, we do have an issue to my right. We have staff coming over. Anybody else in the middle? To my left? Everybody else is okay. One more, and then we'll be closing very shortly. So we do have quite a few results coming in. So again, once this agenda is passed, that is what you've given us as co-chairs to follow. Just a reminder, I know that it gets very difficult with time constraints. We have so many resolutions, so many decisions, so many very important decisions to get to, and part of our responsibility as co-chairs is to stick to the time frame, and we need to get decisions made. Having said that, we're a little bit behind, so I'd like to get moving as soon as we can. Are we good? We're good here? Okay. Close the polls, please. Close the polls. This is the motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Please put up the results on the screen. As soon as we have results on the screen, we will have them up on your screen, on my screen as well. Go ahead and post the results, please. Just taking a second here. And again, this is a motion. Just taking a few seconds to have the results up on the screen. Can you imagine if this was a resolution where we were wondering what's going on? I think it's fairly non-contentious, though. We did make the changes that you requested. Again, Chiefs, this is your meeting. This is your meeting. You set the rules that we have to follow. You set the agenda that we have to follow. So, again, help us to help you. There are the results. Is that the results? So we don't have the results up on the screen, but it is 169 votes for, 3 opposed, 1 abstention, so the motion is carried. We will go with the agenda that you've just passed. So, miigwech. I'll now turn it over to my colleague, Kiera, to get right into the next agenda item. Time to roll up our sleeves, get into business.
For our next agenda item, audited financial statements and financial reporting, I would like to welcome our speakers to the stage. We have Roxanne Rudiger, AFN's Chief Officer, joining us to speak to the financial reporting and financial statements, and Anne-Marie Etier, a representative from Deloitte, to provide their presentation on the audited financial statements. Encore, can we please bring up the document to the screen? Oh, we don't have it.
Hello, thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Roxanne Rudiger. I'm the Chief Financial Officer here at the AFN. Today, I'll be giving you some key financial highlights on the fiscal year ended March 31, 2026. The AFN received another clean, unqualified opinion, to which our auditors will speak to more about that in a bit. Looking at the statement of operations, or our income statement, total revenue was $50.8 million, which was a decrease of $7.5 million, or 12.9% over the prior year. And this is reflective of the lower project and contribution funding in several program areas. Sources of revenue recognized came from our many funding partners, with the largest one being ISC and CERNAC at 67%. Other government departments making up 22%, and then the remaining linked to trade shows, registration, and other miscellaneous revenue. Major expense categories included salaries and benefits, travel and meeting costs, and professional fees. These expenditures supported national advocacy, policy development, technical initiatives, assemblies, and engagement activities across First Nations communities. Now over to the statement of financial position, or our balance sheet. Overall, the AFN ended fiscal year 2025-2026 in a good financial position. Total assets were $57.3 million, most of which are current assets. Cash on hand was $49.4 million, down $4 million, or 7.6% over the prior year. And 58% of this is tied to deferred contributions for fiscal year 2026-27 activities. Total liabilities were $45.4 million. Again, most of this tied to deferred contributions. Accounts payable was almost $7.6 million, consisted with deliverables under AFN's funding agreements. The AFN maintains a strong balance sheet and continues to meet all financial obligations without relying on long-term financing. We closed our net assets out at $11.9 million, up 6.8% over prior year. And that concludes the financial highlights. Our audited financial statements will be available on our website very soon. And thank you for your time, and I'll pass it over to Anne-Marie, our auditors from Deloitte. Thank you.
Merci. Elders, national chief, regional chiefs, and all, Kwe, bonjour, good morning. So my name is Anne-Marie Etier. I'm an audit partner at Deloitte and a proud member of Kitigan-Zibi First Nation. Deloitte performed the audit of the financial statements of the AFN as at March 31st, 2026. We have met with the executive of the AFN to discuss the scope and results of our audit. In accordance with Canadian auditing standards, our audit is designed to enable us to express an opinion on the fairness of the presentation of the AFN's annual financial statements prepared in accordance with Canadian accounting standards for not-for-profit organizations. No restrictions have been placed on the scope of our audit. In performing the audit, we were giving full and complete access to the accounting records, supporting documentation, and other information requested. I also confirmed that we are independent of the AFN. As the financial statements were approved by the executive, we will issue an unmodified auditor's report on the financial statements of the AFN for the year ended March 31st, 2026. In our opinion, the financial statements present fairly, in all material respects, the financial position of the AFN and the results of its operation and its cash flow for the year that ended, in accordance with Canadian accounting standards for not-for-profit organizations. We have shared all the information necessary with the Executive Committee and management. If you have any questions, management will address them. Miigwech, thank you. Merci.
Thank you very much for the financial statements. I will turn it over to my co-chair, Adam.
Check with microphone 1.
Can we open microphone 1?
I just have a question about Alberta's Regions money, where it is. You know, I do sit on the National Chiefs Commission. A lot of people are working on the kindness of their heart. So can I get a report? Where is our Alberta money? Because, you know, I'm very thankful for the people that are working at the kindness of their hearts, you know, for the future, for the ones yet to come. So I know I did have a resolution. I did ask for help before, but, you know, Alberta really struggling, and, you know, we're treaty fighters. So I just want to know where the money from our Alberta region is. Mostly.
Thank you, Chief Jacko. Can we go to microphone 2, please?
Thank you. Judy Wilson, proxy holder for Shuswap Band. I just wanted to thank you for being the co-chair. I think it's great that you stood up and are speaking on behalf of our youth, and welcome your chairpersonship. I just had some questions regarding the audit. Given that AFN filed no position on the submission to the CHRTC, you know, what is the 500,000 legal costs for then? I'm not sure who can speak on that, since you're presenting the audit report. And it's tied to the AFN was directed to provide funding to pay for the National Children's Chiefs Commission costs, and that's still outstanding. So there's a couple of issues there. And it's tied to the audit. I think Regional Chief Francis Paul might have more information on that too, right? Because this is outstanding issues we raised several times now. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for your question. So the first part was on the Alberta funding. My understanding is there are funds that we are holding until a regional chief is elected, and I believe, I'm hoping Andrew can, our CEO can support a response on the CHRT stuff.
Morning, everyone. My name is Andrew Biso. I'm the CEO of the AFN from Chiking First Nation, Ontario. As our CFO, Roxanne, just alluded to, we do need Alberta to come to agreement on who would represent the region to then kind of sign on to agreement, but that those funds are being held for Alberta, for Alberta's use. As far as funding for legal fees, there have been a number of steps the AFN has needed to be involved in over the past few months that do require funding, and there is a resolution that mandated us to work with an external counsel for the CHRT case, and we certainly don't want to do anything to delay that case because, as noted, how important children are, and our youth are our most important gift, and so we've been working to make sure that we don't delay the CHRT process, but we're happy to share more details on how that funding was spent to just keep the CHRT case moving, making sure that AFN fulfilled its obligations for that case. Miigwech.
Thank you. Can we open microphone 1, Chief Jacko?
Yes, how far are we going to go back? Where monies received from Alberta are tracked to, and how much money is available for the Alberta region? We have a regional initiative we would like to allocate some of that money to. We could sign an agreement for that. Merci.
Thank you. Microphone 2, please.
Thank you. Judy Wilson, proxy holder for Shuswap Band. Andrew, you didn't answer the second part of the question, which was about the outstanding payment to National Children's Chiefs Commission. It was by resolution at the last meeting.
Thank you.
So that was based on financial information at the time, but again, we've had to, because we do not get funding from the government for the CHRT case. Obviously, they don't provide resources for us to sue the government, and so those resources, some of them have been used again for the CHRT process. But again, we're happy to sit down with NCCC representatives and walk through. I know we did provide some money to NCCC over this past year, and I know we're in discussions with them over providing more money for the work that they're doing. So we're happy to sit down, and I'm available here at the Assembly to sit down with NCCC reps and have that conversation with them. Miigwech.
Thank you. We are going to move on, and I'll pass it over to my co-chair, Adam.
Miigwech, Kiera, and miigwech, Ogumag, for your questions. So we'll get into the resolutions. We are now dealing with resolutions, and of course we will start with draft resolution number 40. So if I can have draft resolution number 40 up on the screen, please. One side will be English, one side will be French. We have the resolution. It is titled Reinstate the AFN Land Sector and Support the Chiefs Committee on Lands, Territories and Resources. It's moved by Chief Wilfred King, who is here, seconded by Proxy Judy Wilson, who is also here. So the resolution, if we can scroll down, please, down to the operative clause. Resolution reads, therefore, be it resolved that the First Nations in Assembly, number 1, support the mandate and objectives of the AFN Chiefs Committee on Lands, Territories and Resources, CCOLTR. Number 2, direct the Assembly of First Nations, AFN, to provide full support to the CCOLTR as a distinct Chiefs Committee under a lands portfolio to ensure a rights-based approach to resolving historical grievances and ensure it remains grounded in First Nations inherent and constitutionally protected rights, title and jurisdiction. Number 3, call on the AFN to work with the CCOLTR to reinstate the land sector within the next 6 months to ensure a rights-based approach to resolving First Nations historical grievances and enable it to provide dedicated technical support to the CCOLTR and report back to First Nations in Assembly on progress at the December 2026 Special Chiefs Assembly. So that's the resolution. Mover, microphone number 1, please.
Chief Wilfred King, Kiasagi, Nishnabek, Gulby First Nation. I would like to add a friendly amendment to the wording on that as well, to adding to Clause G. And whereas it says the land sector carries significant and long-standing mandates of the First Nations in Assembly, and where facing financial or operational challenges should be supported and strengthened rather than disbanded. AFN management must provide timely and transparent information to the Chiefs Committee on Lands, Territories and Resources, portfolio holders, and other relevant AFN bodies, and meaningful engage and work with them to develop sustainable solutions and preserve the dedicated capacity and expertise required to advance lands-related matters. Also, under the therefore be it resolved to the existing number 3, direct that the CCOLTR under the leadership of the lands portfolio holders to lead the reinstatement of the land sector and develop and approve an implementation plan for the reinstatement within 6 months and report back to the First Nations in Assembly on implementation progress at the December 2026 Special Chiefs in Assembly. And added to therefore be it resolved number 4, direct AFN to provide all administrative, financial, human resources, legal, policy and technical support requested by the Chiefs Committee on Lands, Territories, Resources and the lands portfolio holders and to implement their approved implementation plan. Those are the very, very friendly amendments.
Thank you, Miigwech. Chief King. So what we'll do is before we go to the seconder, we'll deal with that and then I'll ask if you're okay with it. So we just want to make sure that the resolutions team has the proposed amendment. It looks like we do. I just want to get confirmation. Chiefs, just to let you know, this is actually a process. If you have an amendment on this or any future resolutions, if you can have the amendment all set, ready to go, read it. We'll read it into the record. It just sort of helps speed up the process. So on the screen, if we can scroll up to whereas, the new whereas I. So this is right after H, I. This is just to read it into the record. Whereas I, the land sector, carries significant and long-standing mandates from First Nations in Assembly, and when facing financial or operational challenges should be supported and strengthened rather than disbanded. AFN management must provide timely and transparent information to the CCOLTR portfolio holder and other relevant AFN bodies and meaningfully engage and work with them to develop sustainable solutions that preserve the dedicated capacity and expertise required to advance lands-related mandates. So that's the proposed amendment. If we can scroll down to therefore be it resolved. Scroll down to number 3. Encore, if we can scroll down, please. On the resolution that we have. There we go. So we would scratch out, Chief King, I just want to make sure that that's correct. Scratch out the first bit, and here's what it would say. I want to make sure that we got this right. Direct, so therefore be resolved number 3. Direct the CCOLTR under the leadership of the lands portfolio holders to lead the reinstatement of the land sector and to develop and approve an implementation plan for its reinstatement within 6 months and report back, and report back to First Nations in Assembly on implementation progress at the December 2026 Special Chiefs Assembly. And then we would have a new number 4. Direct the AFN to provide all administrative, financial, human resources, legal, policy, and technical support requested by the CCOLTR and the lands portfolio holders to implement their approved implementation. Chief King, that's good?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay, seconder, are you okay with that?
Yes, I'm fine with the amendments, and I just wanted to speak on the resolution, but I'll wait till you finish with the amendments.
Okay, so that's good on the amendment. So we'll now go to the seconder. Microphone 2.
Judy Wilson, proxy holder for Shuswap Band. I just wanted to say this is the very founding of the Assembly First Nations from the National Indian Brotherhood. It was founded on our land rights, and it was founded on our protecting of our land and our resources, as well as our fishing and hunting rights. So we cannot dismiss lands or put it in the bottom of the barrel or sidestep our land rights. The First Nations and Assembly have adopted significant mandates related to lands, and those mandates require clear organizational and dedicated expertise and direct accountability to our chiefs here in the Assembly and across the country. They must not be dispersed across unrelated AFN sectors, so that's why the Resolution 40 is so important that we're speaking on today. And, you know, I'm thinking about a lot of the chiefs that have passed on that stood up in this very assembly and spoke very passionately and dedicated to their land and the rights. And we cannot have that overshadowed by economic development. Although economic development is important, our foundation is our land and Mother Earth. And I just wanted to recognize Chief Dalton Silver. He's our BC AFN appointed chief to the Chiefs Committee on Land, Territory and Resources, and formerly Chief Mark Point as well. So we've had a very strong standing with the committee, and we have a lot of the BC specific claims and issues that run through this process. So it's very important. So we're looking forward to the support of it and getting this sorted out. We had a very good meeting on Land Territory Resources last night, and we thank our regional chiefs, Benedict and our Moore, for being there and helping us navigate this difficult time. But we need to uplift our land, same as having our children at the center. We need to have our land as our foundation. Thank you.
Miigwech, Proxy Wilson. And again, questions been called. I do see two chiefs at the microphone, so thank you for calling question. We'll take that under advisement. We will allow an opportunity for the two speakers. I'm going to look now because questions have been called. We do have decisions to make. Is there anybody else that wants to speak to this after the two that are at the microphones? I don't see any hands raised. I will close the speakers list very shortly. So I don't see anybody else. I'm going to close the speakers list. I'll go with microphone 1 and then 2. Just a reminder, if you have an amendment, please let us know right away. If you support the resolution, let us know right away. If you're opposed, let us know right away. Microphone 1.
Yeah, Chief Powell, Mamalilika First Nation. I want to speak in favor of the resolution. As a national advocacy organization directed by the First Nations in Assembly, the AFN must be structured in a way that reflects this reality. Lands-related mandates require dedicated expertise, sustained advocacy, and direct accountability to chiefs. Chiefs committees must be involved before decisions are made to affect their mandates. Decisions about future lands related work must not be made solely through internal administrative restructuring without meaningful engagement with the Chiefs Commission and the responsible portfolio holders. DR 40 restores accountability to chiefs. The Chiefs Commission and lands portfolio holders must lead and approve the reinstatement plan, while AFN management is directed to provide the resources and administrative support necessary to implement it. The path forward is draft Resolution 40 includes a practical path forward. The Chiefs Commission-led implementation plan, a clear timeline for AFN support, and reporting to First Nations in Assembly provide clear direction and accountability. The resolution is about protecting active work, specific claims reform, addition to reserve and ban creation processes, technical working groups and relationships with First Nations organizations require continuity and dedicated support. Thank you.
Miigwech, thank you. Microphone 2.
First of all, I want to thank the chairs and the chiefs that are here. Lands are foundational. They're not simply a policy area amongst many. And the foundation of First Nations identity is jurisdiction, culture, economies, laws, and relationships with future generations. And I stand here in support of this resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Miigwech, thank you very much. So with that, the resolution is before you, as amended, on the screen. My first question, I'm wondering if we have consensus Is there any opposition in the room by show of hands? This is not the vote, but is there any opposition in the room or online requiring a vote? I don't see any opposition. Any abstentions? I don't see any online. I see none in the room. So with that, I will declare that the resolution is carried by consensus. Miigwech. Thank you. We'll now go to emergency resolution number 1. So I'm just going to call it up on my screen. If we can have it up on the screen as well, please. This is emergency resolution number 1. I want to make sure I have it here. There we go. And it is up on the screen. This is draft emergency resolution number 1. It is titled Upholding Truth and Criminalizing Indian Residential School Denialism. It is moved by Chief David Monias, who I saw is right here, and seconded. Okay. So Encore, I believe there is a different resolution with some updates on it. So I'm going to get Encore to remove this version. There should be a version that has some changes. There we go. Chief Monias is the mover. The seconder is Garrison Sati, proxy, who is also here. Yes, thank you. So we have the resolution, mover and seconder. We'll go down to therefore be it resolved. There it is. Therefore be it resolved that the First Nations in Assembly, number 1, reaffirm the Assembly of First Nations AFN call for the Government of Canada to amend Bill C-9, an act to amend the Criminal Code Combating Hate Act, or introduce standalone legislation to criminalize public condoning, denial, justification, or minimization of Indian residential school denialism as a form of hate speech against First Nations. Number 2, direct the AFN to call on the Government of Canada and all political leaders to take concrete measures to advance public awareness and education, including curriculum and public campaigns on the truth of Indian residential schools and other colonial policies. Number 3, direct the AFN to call on the Government of Canada to co-develop legislation with First Nations to address Indian residential school denialism and strengthen legal protections for sacred, burial, memorial, and former residential school sites, including enforcement mechanisms and penalties for desecration or denialism linked to those sites. 4, direct the AFN to advocate for government-sponsored legislation addressing Indian residential school denialism with the Prime Minister and relevant federal ministers. Number 5, direct the AFN to work with survivors, elders, and First Nations leadership to ensure any legislation is First Nations-led, rights-based, and legally and constitutionally sound, and protects the rights of First Nations and land defenders. 6, direct the AFN to advocate for any future hate-related legislative reforms to be developed in partnership with First Nations to include clear safeguards protecting the rights of First Nations, advocates, and land defenders engaged in legitimate advocacy and the defense of treaty and inherent rights. So that is the resolution before you. I'll look to the mover and seconder if you wish to speak to the resolution. We'll get Encore to put up the timer. You have up to 4 minutes. So microphone 2.
Danach mit Taugaino Gemaganak, Ketiatsak, Skog, Napiok, Mantiok, Tagak, Niganiok, Kitsugumaganisko, Penutze. Anotsa Ganipayago Tepe, Picascot, Tamago Mozart, Gitsayon, Tavicapa Istayag, Dotama. Honorable Chief, National Chief, respected elders, fellow chiefs, survivors, and delegates. I rise today in support of this resolution because truth must never be denied. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission heard the voices of thousands of survivors. We know what happened. Children were taken away from their families and from their communities. They were denied their language, their culture, and their identity. Many suffered horrific abuse. We all heard the stories. Many never came home, and there was many that were left behind. These are not opinions. These are historical facts. When people deny or minimize this history, they do more than deny the past. They reopen the wounds of survivors. They dishonor the children. They fuel anti-First Nations racism. Reconciliation cannot exist if truth is questioned or erased. This resolution calls upon Canada to work with First Nations to address residential school denialism, educate the public, and protect sacred burial and memorial sites. It reflects the principles of United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples and builds on previous resolutions that were adopted by this Assembly. It says clearly that First Nations must shape any legislation that affects our people. As chiefs, we have a sacred responsibility to our people, our children especially. We must protect the truth. We must honor the survivors. We must remember every child who never came home. We must ensure that future generations inherit the truth, not denial. I ask you today to stand together. Stand for truth. Stand for justice. Stand with our survivors. Stand for the children whose voices are silenced. Let history remember that this Assembly chooses truth over denial, respect over prejudice, and reconciliation over silence. I respectfully ask you to support this resolution for the children, for the survivors, and for our nations. Thank you, and
Grand Chief, microphone number 2.
Kinanaskimit now, Garrison City, MKO Grand Chief, proxy for Chimoawan Cree Nation. It is inconceivable that in this country that our people are not guaranteed protections for a lot of the cultural genocide that took place and mandated by government. There is a crime in this country to speak against the Holocaust or deny the Holocaust. And now we agree with that, we concur with that policy. What about our people? What about us? It should be a crime to try to deny that this genocide took place. So that's why I'm in support of this resolution. I think this country is trying to deny and try to change the narrative of what happened, but we know the truth. We know the documented facts that conclude and confirm that our people went through cultural genocide, and there's a lot of people that are trying to deny this, but we are here to stand up for the survivors, the unborn, and those that did not make it through the residential school system. We are their voice today. Support this.
We'll open it up now. Microphone number 2.
Grand Chief Cody Daibu and Mohawk Council of Kahnawake. It was just to clarify in point 2, direct the AFN to call on the Government of Canada and all political leaders. Is the intent for the Canadian political leaders or like political leaders in this room as well? So if we're just to clarify in terms of that, or like global leaders as well. So just to clarify that, but other than that, it's a good resolution.
Great, very good. Chief Munoz. So the question is, it refers to all political leaders. Which political leaders are we talking about?
We are asking all the political leaders here and also in Canada and around the world as well. The Holocaust can never be denied for the Jews, and it should not be denied for the residential school survivors as well, and that includes everybody.
Rich, back to microphone 2. Would you like that clarified, or does that do it for you? Microphone 2.
Well, if anything, then I would just say all political leaders, locally, domestically, internationally, just to broaden it then, just those few points.
Okay, Rich. So I'm going to look to the resolutions team. So that is on, therefore be resolved number 2, when there's reference to all political leadership. If you're going to expand on that, I think you got the wording on that. We'll finalize that, and then we'll come back to microphone number 2. Otherwise, if we need a few minutes, we'll
need a few minutes.
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll take a minute on that amendment. And one.
Ani bojo gima nosh kung Ted Williams dishka srama menjikning donjaba. Again, I don't want to put any flies in the ointment, but if we could include the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation in there somewhere, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you. Do you have a specific paragraph or clause?
I don't have my glasses, that's the problem.
Okay, so we'll look to the resolutions team. I just want to make sure that they've picked that up. Did we have a member of the team approach you?
Yes.
Okay, we've got it here. Okay, we'll come back to you. Just stand by. I want to make sure. So,
Can you ask them to pull it up? That might be helpful.
okay, Encore, if you can please pull up the resolution that is currently being amended on the screen. So I believe we would go to paragraph number 2. So we haven't made that change yet. And so there's right now on the floor, there's 2 proposed amendments. I don't want to go too far. If we're not ready, I'll go to microphone 2, but just give me 1 second to confirm.
I think everyone is lagging right now, which I don't know if we want to say. Like, it's just because of the internet speed. So maybe we'll just pause for like 30 seconds.
Okay. What we will do is we're going to pause. We'll give it 30 seconds or so. We want to make sure we deal with the 2 amendments that have been requested. I think the first one, the mover and seconder, we're okay with. The second, I don't know if you heard the second amendment. Okay, so we'll come back to you on that as well. We'll give it a few seconds here. Penema daus bigade kayan bigadik. Yuga kagwejmen daunuk kauna muachin kaduna kunuguna. Penema daus bigade.
Can you okay, so the edits are there in 2, but Encore needs to use, Encore needs to show the track change version.
So Encore, up on the screen, we do not see the track changes version. That is the version that I need to see. So I'm not sure if there's 2 versions, but the therefore be resolved number 2, their resolutions team has already made changes. This might be a different version that we have up on the screen. Again, we have 2 resolutions on your screens, English, French. The amendments will be done in English. Once everything is passed, the teams will come back and do proper translation. But I'm just waiting, Encore. We may have the wrong version up on the screen because I know the resolutions team has already made changes.
We can read them out if we want, and then we can just say, are you good with the readouts?
Yep. Okay. So here are the 2 proposed amendments. You won't have them on the screen, but I'm going to read it out. So under number 2, mover and seconder. So this is what it says. Direct the AFN to call on the Government of Canada. Okay, it is up on the screen now. The Government of Canada and all political leaders domestically and internationally. You're okay with that? Okay, that's good. The second amendment, if we can go up to whereas C, it's probably on the first page. There it is. This is an addition. So I don't know if you can see mover and seconder. It would say, this is in the whereas. The National Center for Truth and Reconciliation has been established as a place of learning and dialogue where the truths of residential school survivors, families and communities are honored and kept safe for future generations. So the Chief was just asking if there can be a reference to that center on this resolution. You're okay? Okay, good. Thank you, Chief Williams. Migach. Microphone 2.
Chief John Miracle, greetings to everyone here, and thank you to the Algonquin Nation for hosting us here. My question is the administrative process for this resolution. If the criminal code is amended, there has to be a complaints body that deals with complaints that are put forward and rule on them or make recommendations. The Truth and Reconciliation did call for the provision for the truth to be told on these issues. And so I want to make sure that we direct the AFN that they consult the chiefs on whatever complaints body is put in place to deal with complaints. If there's something broadcasted that chiefs hear that they don't like and they want to file a complaint, there has to be an administrative process for this, so that you just can't simply amend the criminal code and think that's going to, because then it's left at the discretion of the police. So normally there's a civilian complaints process for complaints against, like CBSA, or they're proposing legislation for that, or the RCMP. So there needs to be a body created that would deal with complaints of this nature. So I want to make sure that we direct the AFN to ensure that there's a body that's comprised of First Nations representatives to deal with these complaints. So it's not just all the government investigating and ruling on it.
Thank you, Chief Miracle. So we'll have a member of the team approach you, and we'll work with you on the changes. We'll come back to that. So that's a requested addition. Nobody online. Microphone 1.
Right. Well, thank you. Chief Gould from the Abwood First Nation. Nindelawisi Satmalo Gigoso. I'm a direct descendant from my father, who attended the Shibanaki Residential School, and I just couldn't sit here, and I just wanted to add a little ammunition to this. And I'll ask, when you try to prove something and you haven't addressed the root cause of the problem, or one of them, you're missing an opportunity. If we recognize hate crimes as a society, and we don't have the opportunity for us to be included as part of society, we're missing something. I want to ask you to take part in something from you here. The Jews were suffered genocidal atrocities. Swastika and other symbols are hate crimes, and we know that. It's law. It's legal. Does anybody know a Jewish survivor that has the sticker on their wrist? The camp that they attended, the tattoo. Anybody know anybody? You heard of it? There's a similar hate crime in our First Nations. I'll ask any First Nation member here who knows. Mine is Abwood First Nation, band number 164. What's yours? What is it? Stand up and say your number.
222 572
629.
662.
You guys don't know it over here? These guys are beating you. There's your court case. There's your genocide. There's your human rights issue. I buried my father. He got $10 from the government. Well, Island government, appreciate it. Thank you. That was gone. The generational trauma that we are left with and have to deal with, there's your case. Ask the Assembly First Nation to address stuff that exists. We don't talk about it. Use things that are examples. The federal government has an obligation and a legal responsibility to address us as their human rights fault. They don't even address us with that. We're a member. We're a ward of the state. So I just wanted to share that, and I think it's something that the Assembly First Nation should take as part of their ammunition to force the federal government to address this. And it's a trigger mechanism for litigation. It's a trigger mechanism for legislation which will create law.
Good. Thank you.
We're still working on it, but we can go to Mike too.
Okay. Very unfortunate, but we all know our number. Me, it's 129501. Shouldn't be branded with a number, but we're still working on the amendment. So microphone 2.
Minogizgan, Ogamau, Dustin Brass, the Key First Nation. I'm here to talk about this because of my grandmother in St. Philip's Residential School, but I'm going to ask Senator Ted Kuzans to speak.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker, to all the chiefs of Canada. It's nice to see you all here and debating and still talking. About what happened to many of our survivors across this country, and many of them have gone. Many have not been acknowledged. Our parents, our grandparents. I'm here to support this resolution. But you know what, Chiefs, AFN, when you pass resolution, there has to be action on these resolutions. "90% of resolutions are gathering dust in offices. The lack of government support in regards to fund them and to work on these resolutions. The guy we call the Pope of this country, of the world, he visited us in Edmonton. And he flew before he left Canada. He said it's outright genocide, cultural genocide that happened to Indian people in North America. The House of Commons also voted on it, 100%, declaring it's an outright genocide. Now, my question is to the government of this country, what are you doing about your vote in the House of Commons? What are you doing about the denialism that's going on in this country? Ask yourselves that. There are great-grandchildren we got to tell. We got to educate them. What happened to us? And there's not very many of us left, my friends. I reach out to everyone. There isn't anybody speaking for us anymore. No one is speaking. Us speakers that speak, they shut us out now because we speak the truth. It's truth-telling. There's many things I want to speak about. I'm not allowed to. Because I'm a truth teller. And there's so many truth tellers in this room. And my dear friends, it hurts me. I got survivors back home. I got friends around me. So, Mr. Speaker, I have no amendments to the resolution, but the denialism that's going on in this country is sickening to my heart. And it's got to stop. And the government of this country has got to take action on it, the legal system. This is an example of the doctrine of discovery is live and well. Thank you very much.
Miigwech. Senator presents. We are ready? Okay. We do have one more amendment, so at this point we are going to close the speakers list after going to microphone number 1. I don't see anybody online here. One more speaker, microphone 1, and then the amendment. Go ahead, microphone 1.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating, you know. My parents were residential school survivors, and I can't even tell their stories because they passed on. So I would like to give another bullet point or something. Call on Canada to not destroy the records related to those survivors who provided witness until such time as they are certain every remaining survivor witness have been contacted to confirm if they want their witness records kept. It's only the living survivors can tell their stories. Like, I can't even share my parents, my grandparents' stories, my brothers. So they can't sweep that under the rug. The truth should be told. Merci.
So we're going to go back to the previous amendment that was requested. If I can have it up on the screen, please. So this would be number 7 on therefore be resolved. If we scroll down, mover and seconder, if you can watch. I know somebody's chatting with the mover and seconder. Going to let them know. So I'm going to read the amendment. It reads, number 7, direct the AFN to ensure that there is a complaints commission created comprised of First Nations appointees to handle the administrative process to resolve complaints that is not solely at the discretion of the Government of Canada. Mover, are you okay with that? Seconder is good? Okay, thank you. One more amendment, and then I will ask whether we have consensus on the resolution. So we have one more amendment. The team is working on that. Just to let you know, I know all of us are affected by the residential schools. My father went through the residential school system, and it's a very heavy issue for all of us. So as we leave, once we leave for lunch, there will be smudging available, and I'm not sure that's being coordinated. That will be done here in the room, but there will be a smudge. And again, I'd like to acknowledge Senator Crescens for speaking as a survivor. So we will have our knowledge keeper, Gwen, who I can't tell if she's here, but she will come. Oh, there you are. She will have the smudge as we break for lunch. Not quite yet. We're almost done. We're just working on the final amendment, and it looks like it's up on the screen. So this is number 8, mover and seconder. So it reads, call on Canada not to destroy the records related to those survivors who provided witness until such time as they are certain all remaining surviving witnesses have been contacted to confirm if they want their witness records kept. Mover is good. Seconder is good. Okay. So the resolution is before you. If we have consensus and there's no opposition, there's no need to vote. It'll be carried by consensus. So I'm going to ask the question online and in the room. Is there any opposition to the resolution? Are we okay? Second call, final call. Any opposition or abstentions? I see none. So with that, we declare that the resolution is carried. You good? Thank you.
I think Gwen's good to come up before lunch.
Okay, so we will have the smudge. Gwen, I'm not sure you'll just do it here, or we will break for lunch now. We will be back at 1 p.m., but there is a smudge up here. Thank you. We'll see you after lunch. Okay, over here. There is a smudge available in the back. To my right, to your left, in the back here, beside the stage. I got you.
What's the matter?
Just lock them off, like, yeah. He's got that one. You might have that one out. As long as it's nicely framed. There you go. You know how to get to the food court and whatnot? You know, you can go to the second floor and there's an exit down the hallway.
And I'll wake up, right? And then he pinches me, and I woke up, they still felt in the bar.
Where were you? I went to
He was
Cameron
dressed
3.
like in the
Oh, I sat
70s,
here.
and then
And then I went
right? And we were real serious.